Today we will be talking about how to improve your number one resource, which, as we all know, is your people.
And so what he found is actually that there are two main factors that determine this flow. One is the degree of challenge that we face when performing any task, and the other one is the skill and the confidence level. People actually get into this flow state when the degree of challenge and the skill match. For example, if the challenge is much higher than the skill or the confidence in the performance, people would experience anxiety or even panic. And on the other hand, if the challenge is not enough, then they would be in the face of the boredom. If we want to apply this to the company, you can think about it as a specific challenge that you face as a company. And then on the other dimension, it would be the talent. And we also want to introduce some important component that is not very well addressed in most of the organizations, which we want to call mental strength. Well, most of the companies will really nurture the talent of their employees, starting from recruitment, then professional development. There is not a lot of intention paid to this next component, which we call mental strength, which is incredibly important, especially nowadays where the challenges are really changing all the time.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging in there, James, because we're going to look at that. What do they tell you not to do with Q-tips? And what else do they tell you not to do with Q-tips? Yeah, especially two at a time. So there are misattributions that we have about what we perceive, what we see, and what we hear. Remember this guy? He's got a little voice going off in his head saying, "Did you hear what they're saying about you?" So he's taking internally, inside his inner ear, what we don't want to do with Q-tips. He's taking it personally, things that he's saying and thinking they're saying possibly about him, or that they may say about him, but they may say about a lot of people. This woman is looking at what people are doing now and clouding it with a judgment that turns into a misattribution that may well not be what's actually happening. There are a lot of acronyms that we use. Here's one of them. Q-tips itself. Quit taking it personally. Avoid getting hurts. Avoid being excessively hungry. Unsupported. You want to have as many supporters in your life as you can. People whom you can speak with, who aren't going to give you hard and fast answers, who aren't going to be judgmental, who aren't going to be critical, who aren't going to gossip about you, but people who will give you support. And that's usually an open ear with an open mind. Often when we're talking to a supporter, we start to work things out for ourselves. Just as if I couldn't find my keys, and I'm telling somebody this, and I empty all my pockets, and in one of them there are the keys. And thank you very much. And all the person did was just stand there, too tired. Obviously, if you're not getting enough sleep, you're going to be tired. But if you're skipping lunch and you didn't get that much sleep last night, here you've got a combination of two of these things. So any combination of two or more, two scheduled, overbooked, you're out on, excuse me, you're out on thin ice. So scheduled, you know what I do is I use a very small calendar to put the things in day. I used to, back in the days before I had access to technology, I'd take a big old legal pad and write each day. I'm not kidding. I would take one day, Tuesday, fill the legal pad of all these things to do. At the end of the day, I'd look at them and the few things that I'd done that were crossed off. And I felt like, you can imagine the word. And so, yeah, fill it in yourself. That didn't help. So overscheduling can really cause a lot of anxiety. It's hurting yourself.
Someone would like to know, how do you recommend interrupting a stressful situation?
Yeah, so there are several techniques that I use from the dialectical behavior therapy and skills workbook. There's some very effective immediate short-term interventions that you can do if your anxiety level, for instance, is going very high, or your internal experienced emotional intensity, as we would call it. As an example, one of the things is taking an ice cube in your hand, some very specific kinds of breath techniques, whereas, for instance, you breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 7 seconds. A couple of other breathing techniques that really get to the physiological level of your stress and allow you to kind of manage that so that you can bring more focus. There's also an array of mindfulness and mindful directedness approaches that people will take where you fix your attention on a specific spot visually. Maybe you could also do a thing where you direct your attention to just sounds in your local space or sounds externally. These are things that are actually easy for a lay person to do. Now, I've studied meditation for many years, as so has Stephen and others. And there are, of course, more advanced things that you can do. And, sitting meditation is excellent practice, but it's not something that necessarily everybody could do. And it might be hard to take 9 minutes out of your work day, to just sit at your desk.
A easy way to get into meditation is actually using a app such as Calm or Headspace. So you can find those at calm.com and I believe headspace.com. But those have been really helpful for me personally to just kind of dip my toes into meditation. Another technique is, there's this common saying, which is the mind is a kite and the body is the string. And so the idea being that sometimes it's really hard to stop your monkey mind from getting out of control and stressing out, but it's very easy to just take your body into a new scenario. So you could go for a walk, perhaps, or just get yourself outside moving so that you're no longer sitting at your desk and kind of dwelling on that stressful situation.
We all know that stress is inescapable. And sometimes it can create this cycle. If it's a high level of stress or unpredictability, things where you feel like you're out, like choices and actions are maybe outside the range of your own control, leads to more stress. You feel like you can't achieve up to your potential because you're too stressed out. And on the other hand, because you're so stressed out, you can't get your work done. Very big organizations now, massive systems, including the military, are really starting to look at how do we help people do or stay in the green, or how do we move and think about helping people move from red. You'll see that what we're going to do is help people learn about some of these different techniques, think about self-management, think about where, when we're on this stress curve, where do we need to direct our focus and our energy? At what points are we going to be sort of self-intervening, so to speak? And this is a lot of this is really crucial. People are very, very successful, but learning those techniques, when do I need to do what? What kinds of exercises work for me from this array of things?
Resiliency, or the ability to bounce back from difficult situations. As we know, life is not about how fast you run or how high you climb, but how well you bounce. And chances are, and we all know, that if you're in the tech business or entrepreneur, there would be a lot of situations in which you need to bounce back from difficulties.
Other strategies in other webinars, we're going to look at restorative versus supportive thinking, multi-mindfulness. I mentioned a few mindfulness practices